Hi, I'm Archie Goodwin. This full cast audio presentation is based on characters created by Rex Stout. Sadly, Rex has passed on, but I have not, though I almost bit the dust in this very story about to unfold. Because this is a novel, we are able to bring Klaus Schmidt back to life, which was critical based on the sad, real story about Göbekli Tepe. Not only will this be an exciting Nero Wolfe presentation, but we may also succeed in uncovering historical secrets that will, by learning from the past, create a most compelling future for us all.
The atmospheric pressure in the office was high, and it wasn't just the humidity. Wolfe was staring at a map of the northern provinces, still grumbling that the Andaman ghost ledger hadn't been fully decoded yet. We had the Thai triple retainer and the DHS reward money, but Wolfe was acting like he'd lost a nickel and found a subpoena.
Archie, this ledger is a map of a sewer. It lists the same Marseille hulls, the Marseille Star, but the cargo isn't just silk or chemicals. There are entries here for heavy stone and vitrified glass moving from Turkey to New Jersey.
Maybe they're just redecorating, Nero. Or maybe the Viper and the Moor were partners in a much older business. If you're moving drugs and people, why not move history too? It doesn't talk back, and it doesn't need a visa.
Phooey. History talks quite loudly if you know how to listen. It tells us that greed is the only truly ancient profession. Fritz, is the Ceylon cinnamon audit complete? I will not have my mind cluttered by antiquity while my palate is insulted by the present.
I opened the front door as far as possible, with the chain intact. There stood a man, about 70 years old, with a full beard and almost all the color changed to gray. He had something very shiny in his hand. "Can I help you?"
Hello, I'm Klaus Schmidt and need to speak with you if you're Archie Goodwin and also with Nero Wolfe.
Yes, I am Archie Goodwin, Nero Wolfe's assistant. I guess this is where you tell me that you are the Klaus Schmidt who discovered the Göbekli Tepe temple.
Well, yes and no. When I discovered Göbekli Tepe, and for quite some time after, I thought it was just a temple. More about that later. Can we get together with Nero? I don't want anyone to know I'm here.
Fortunately, Nero is in his office. Nero, this is Klaus Schmidt, back from the dead.
Well, congratulations on what are probably the greatest archaeological discoveries of the 20th century. The fact that you are supposed to be dead probably has something to do with why you are here. Please share.
Nero, I rang your bell 3 times and I'm glad Archie came to the door right away. I am supposed to be dead and I don't want anyone to figure out I'm here. They tried to kill me with a massive dose of digitalis. I let them think they had succeeded and thus I died of a heart attack. Before they killed me, they warned me many times. I still have the warning threads they sent to me for your review.
Thank you. I would love to see those. But what were you hoping I could do?
First, I have a certified check for $25,000 and I must continue to remain dead. I do want you to find out who tried to kill me, but not to turn them over to the law.
That sound you heard was Klaus thumping the shiny object he had been holding onto Nero's desk. I'm sure he'll tell us more about it.
I want them to financially sponsor our continued archaeological efforts at Göbekli Tepe and elsewhere. The stone on your desk is a perfect example of the three biggest problems that archaeology has. The first two problems are money. The first problem is always there. Archaeology costs money. At Göbekli Tepe, they already have an abundance of tourists bringing in money.
How does continuing to dig threaten the tourist business?
Great question, Archie. It really doesn't matter. It's the perceived threat to their revenue stream that matters. This very easily could have been what caused someone to put digitalis in my drink. The tourist business is much bigger now than it was then. But at that time, the decision was made about who was going to run the business. Meaning, of course, who would the cash go through?
Doubtless, the third problem is the government.
Indeed, Nero. Whoever is running the government at any point in time is vulnerable to bad news, as the people could revolt if they don't see a potentially positive future. Let's use this stone as an example.
I hope he didn't scratch his desk sliding that stone.
That stone is granite, just like the granite in your kitchen. Both are vitrified. The difference is that the vitrification of that stone requires heat more than what you will find on the surface of the sun.
Ouch!
There are only two known ways to get that level of heat here on Earth. First is a nuclear bomb, and the other is a cosmic airburst. In just what we have found out so far from our digging beneath Göbekli Tepe, it appears they knew the disaster was coming. We would like you to help us find out who tried to kill me, and for that matter, if possible, who has killed so many people like me all over the world.
Klaus, who do you think tried to kill you and why?
That is where the vitrified stone you are holding comes in. You will find stone like this at a number of locations around the world. Sodom and Gomorrah, the scriptures tell us, was caused by a cosmic airburst sent directly from God. There is evidence that the cause in India was, ancient as it is, caused by a nuclear blast. There are primeval writings that claim there was an ancient military weapon that caused the destruction of several Mediterranean cities, including Tanis in Egypt and Greyfilla, Kefkalesi and Hattusa in Turkey. We believe we found one of those weapons. The Turkish military was quick to commandeer that weapon. They warned me not to write about it, speak about it, or even think about it. However, I continued to do all of those things, which upset a number of people, especially General Lovich.
Could you give me more detail on how this stone makes the general a suspect?
Yes, people accuse the government of being paranoid about anything that changes history as we currently know it. But it is a lot deeper than that. I'm not going to bore you with all the details here, but the most famous situations occurred in Egypt, Turkey, the USA, and China. The military damn sure was instrumental in the archaeological shutdowns in all those countries and many more. Once our digging found a high-tech weapon capable of mass destruction, the military took over. That weapon we found may be behind the vitrified stone in your hand, Nero.
Is there anyone else that could have put the digitalis in your drink?
Being able to control a gift shop at the site is a license to print money for someone like Brandon Donowski. He was afraid they would shut down that license to print money. Hence, he was constantly on me to, as he said, cool my jets. But he never threatened me like the general did. The general is all about killing people. Adding me to the list would just be part of his job.
Archie, get a contract.
Yes, Nero?
Klaus, please join us for dinner. Fritz has outdone himself with fresh trout from upstate caught this morning, which will be done as trout almondine. Fritz won first place for his trout almondine 2 years back.
I really shouldn't, but that sounds just too tempting. This way I can go over with you how you came up on my radar. I'm friends with Minister Sonchai. He speaks well about the Nero Wolf organization. He mentioned you, Archie, as treating 2 bullets whizzing past your ear as just part of the game.
When you came to the door, you mentioned wanting to speak with me as well as Nero. I'm not used to anyone wanting to talk with me as well as Nero. I must be doing my job better. I vote for a raise.
Nero, you came up on my radar in Marseille. We have the same problem with Shadowroot. Your problem has been with drugs and counterfeit clothes. My problem is contraband artifacts and shutting down our digs.
Villon's ships aren't just for silk. They have specialized ballast sections. The Shadow Route was originally established centuries ago to move artifacts, and the modern drug trade is just new paint on an old hull.
The people who want me dead are like the ones who corruptly benefit from the $60 billion tourism trade. If I prove a cosmic disaster destroyed the area, the government fears it will spook the tourist crowds and turn off the elite investors. Their solution is to shut down the dig or politely put it on the back burner.
The Viper was using military exercises to dig in restricted zones. The chemistry lesson I gave Fred could be applied here, not for silk, but to identify the unique mineral signature of vitrified granite that proves an ancient airburst occurred.
Somchai is all about tourists. Maybe we can find a way to help here. And it would be nice if we could do this without getting shot at. Bottom line, both Thailand and Turkey end up producing V4141 narcotic alterations for the Shadow Route.
Act 1, Scene 3. The Vitrified Proof.
Fritz's Trout Almondine was a masterpiece, but the conversation turning into a forensic nightmare. Wolf wasn't just interested in the stone as an artifact. He was looking for the chemical signature of the Shadow Route.
Fritz, bring the high-intensity kitchen torch and the reagent kit we secured from Minister Somchai. Mr. Schmidt, you say this stone was vitrified by heat greater than the sun. If so, its molecular structure is porous in a very specific prehistoric way.
You're not going to cook the evidence, are you, Nero? That stone cost Klaus 25 grand and a faked death to get here.
Do not be flippant, Archie. Klaus, the Viper used the northern shipyards to hide alkaloids in dye vats. I suspect the heavy stone listed in the Andaman Ghost Ledger isn't just ballast. It is a sponge. Watch.
Wolf applied the flame to a small corner of the granite. As the stone heated, a faint, acrid smell filled the dining room. The same back-alley pharmacy scent Fred Durkin had described in the Thai mills.
Nero, look at the surface. The heat is drawing something out of the vitrified pores.
Precisely. Archie, the reagent. If this stone was used to move the same high-grade narcotics as the pretty clothes nexus, it will react to the clear liquid.
We watched as the clear drop hit the granite. It didn't stay clear. It blossomed into that same oily, bruised purple violet, the color of a bad omen.
Satisfactory. The Shadow Route is truly ancient. Villon and the Viper didn't just invent a smuggling ring. They repurposed a prehistoric pipeline. They are using Göbekli Tepe's vitrified remains to soak up liquid alkaloids for transport to Marseille. It is the perfect ballast, undetectable by standard customs, and priceless to the right buyer.
So they aren't just destroying history to hide a disaster. They are using the disaster to fund the crime.
And the Viper gets to play archaeologist, while he's just the world's most expensive moving man. Nero, if some guy finds out his first prize ruins are being used as drug sponges, he's going to do more than triple our retainer.
Indeed. Klaus, your death was a profitable investment for us anyway. Archie, contact Saul Panzer. Tell him we need to trace the heavy stone shipments from the Marseille docks to the New Jersey warehouses owned by the Moor. It seems our cinnamon project just gained a few tons of granite.
Before I go, there are only a couple of people who know I am alive. You will receive a call in the morning from one of our most important archaeologists who will take credit for having advanced a check for $25,000. He will insist on dropping by tomorrow to give you another $10,000 for expenses. You will need that money.
Klaus, this is the first case I have had like this. Not turning someone over to the law is a bit discomforting. However, not making it obvious that we have the killer dead to rights will make it easier to get them to fork over the cash and support your archaeological efforts in comfort, hence letting us continue our work. That is all we want.
Nero, if it is the military, as I suspect, they will not look at this as murder, but just what to expect from a good soldier. However, they don't want their citizens to find out. Now, if I can get Archie to take me to the garage, my driver is waiting for me.
Klaus, Ella will be watching you leave to see if you are followed. We will text you at the number you left Archie either way. Archie, as soon as you have Klaus delivered to his driver, make sure Saul is here first thing in the morning. You will want to get in touch with Georges, who is in town. You guys will need to get with Homeland Security, then make it to New Jersey. We'll go over the details as soon as you get back.
Next morning.
So, what's happening, Archie?
We have a new client who wants us to get Klaus Schmidt's murderer to make a major contribution to further archaeological research at Göbekli Tepe. Klaus is still alive, but wants to remain incognito. Nero is meeting with our client today, and I think Nero wants you to attend that meeting. Nero wants me to be off to Homeland Security with Georges, and then perhaps to New Jersey, according to Nero.
Well, Nero, Archie tells me you want me there when you meet with our new client. I guess we will get a list of new things to do.
Act 1, Scene 4. The Jersey Decanting.
Wolf's chemistry lesson had turned a prehistoric artifact into a neon sign pointing straight at New Jersey. If Villone and the Moor were using vitrified granite as a sponge for alkaloids, they wouldn't leave it sitting in a crate for long. They needed to decant the goods, extracting the liquid narcotics from the stone's pores. Wolf insisted I take Georges with me. When necessary, Georges had a clean, unaccented English and a score to settle for his girlfriend, Lily. Plus, if we ran into any of the Marseille crew, his maintenance man knowledge would be better than a search warrant.
Keep your head down, Georges. We're looking for a warehouse near the Andaman Ghost's last well-known coordinates. If Saul's tip is right, they're moving heavy stone through a side door marked with the V4141 code.
I see it, Archie. The blue crane. That is the equipment they use for heavy ballast. But look, there are two men by the bay door. They aren't dock workers. They're wearing those high-end linen suits Villon likes so much.
Linen suits in a Jersey shipyard? They might as well be wearing targets. Check your 38, George. We're going in through the roof. We looked down from the rafters. It wasn't a warehouse. It was a laboratory. They had 3 massive slabs of vitrified granite, the same ancient sea salt stained stone Klaus had shown us, hooked up to steam injectors. As the steam hit the stone, a dark, oily violet liquid began to drip into glass carboys.
They are steaming the narcotics out of the rock. It is brilliant. No dog would smell it inside the granite, and no scanner would see it.
Yeah, well, the economics lesson is about to get a lot more expensive for them. See that guy by the control valve? That's the sub-commander Fred bluffed in Thailand. He's a long way from home. Freeze! Detective Archie Goodwin! Drop the steam wand, or the only thing being decanted tonight is your life expectancy.
The Cinnamon Boy! Kill them! Protect the ballast!
The warehouse turned into a shooting gallery in a New York minute. George moved like a ghost, using his Tai Chi-honed instincts to sweep the legs of a guard coming around a crate of pretty clothes. I stayed high. My .38 barked once, taking the steam valve right out of the sub-commander's hand. It's over! The DHS and the Northern Silk Union are already processing the Marseille ledger. You're not guarding a shipment. You're guarding a tombstone.
Act 1, Scene 5. The Strategic Antidote.
Back at the brownstone, the air was thick with the scent of high-grade coffee and righteous indignation. While George and I were dodging steam and bullets in Jersey, Wolf was on a secure line to Bangkok playing the sheriff for a global audience.
Minister Somchai, I trust your morning tea is more palatable than the report I am about to deliver. It appears your dendrobiums and pretty clothes were merely the surface of the sewer. The heavy stone your military was escorting under the Cobra Gold exercises is currently dripping with liquid alkaloids in a New Jersey warehouse.
Mr. Wolf, this is a catastrophe. If the international press learns our national treasures are being used as vessels for narcotics, the $60 billion tourism industry will vanish overnight.
Precisely. Which is why we shall not use the press. Yet, we shall use the Andaman Ghost Ledger. Archie and George have already neutralized the sub-commander. Gus Freeman of the DHS is currently loading the ancient sea salt granite into a federal van.
We're back, Nero. George handled the field exam like a pro. Gus is outside with enough vitrified evidence to bury Villain and the Viper in a mountain of paperwork.
Satisfactory. Minister, here is your solution. You will announce a permanent preservation initiative for all Gobekli Tepe artifacts. Every piece of vitrified stone will be fitted with the same monitored controls we installed in your dye vats. The shadow route is closed.
Mr. Wolf, we've got the carboys. It's the same chemical signature Fred found in the northern shipyards. Bruised purple reaction and all. Villain is being detained at the airport. He was trying to catch a flight to Marseille in a very wrinkled linen suit.
Looks like the economics lesson finally sunk in. By the way, Nero, Klaus Schmidt wants to know if the $25,000 check covers the cost of faking a second death, or if he needs to stay dead on our payroll.
Tell Mr. Schmidt he is a guest of this house until the Salon Cinnamon audit is complete. And Archie, check the germination records for the dendrobiums we brought back from Thailand. If they have wilted while you were decanting granite in Jersey, I shall find it most unsatisfactory.
I looked at George, who was already heading to the kitchen to swap shadow root stories with Fritz. The new world had become the old world again, and for the first time in 14 days, the growling from the office sounded like music.
Act 1, Scene 5. The Ledger and the Report.
The brownstone was finally quiet. or as quiet as it gets when you have a world-class chef in the kitchen and a sedentary genius upstairs brooding over a $60 billion industry. The vitrified stone was in federal hands, and Villain was likely finding out that a linen suit doesn't breathe well in a holding cell. I found Ella in the south room, her Tai Chi-honed eyes scanning the final pages of the Andaman Ghost Ledger. You know, the DHS pays a lot for that kind of focus, Ella, but I think our 5-year advisory contract with Somchai has a better dental plan. How's the decoding coming?
Decoding is all caught up. Didn't want it to stand in the way of any field assignments. Hint, hint.
Spoken like a true member of the detective team. Speaking of which, now that the General is writing manuals in a mountain outpost and Sherry is safe, I believe I still owe the security chief a very thorough report.
You've been mentioning that report since Bangkok, Archie. Is it a long one?
Extremely. In fact, I think the opening ceremony requires a 45-minute hug. For security purposes, of course. We have to ensure the perimeter is stable.
45 minutes? That's a lot of security, even for this fortress.
The humidity in Thailand was brutal, Ella. I'm just trying to reacclimatize to the local scenery. So, is the detective team authorized to proceed?
Authorization granted, Archie. Welcome home.
Phooey.
I am so happy it's you doing the decoding. You will want to figure out what's on his mind. But to me, it's just another phooey for someone else to worry about as I watch from the sidelines.
Act 1, Scene 6. The Morning Visitor.
The next morning, the brownstone felt like a pressure cooker. Wolf was up in the plant rooms with Theodore, likely apologizing to a dendrobium for the New Jersey humidity. I was at my desk, finishing the granite decanting report for the DHS when the doorbell rang. It wasn't the urgent 3-ring signal from Klaus. It was a single, authoritative peal that suggested the person on the other side owned the sidewalk. "I'll get it, Fritz. Stay with the trout." I pulled the door open. The man standing there looked like he had been carved out of the very limestone he studied. He was wearing a suit that cost more than a mid-sized sedan and carrying a briefcase with a heavy brass lock. This was Dr. Eris Thorne, the man Klaus warned us about. Dr. Thorne, I presume? Step into the foyer. Mr. Wolf is currently engaged with a group of temperamental orchids, but he'll be down at 11.
I don't care if he's engaged with the Queen of Sheba, Mr. Goodwin. I've traveled from the Smithsonian on a red-eye flight. Klaus, my late colleague, told me this was the only house in America where a man could buy a piece of the truth without the government taxing the soul out of it.
A grim assessment, Doctor, though not inaccurate. Please, come into the office. Archie, a glass of beer for me, and whatever the doctor requires to settle his nerves. He looks as though he's seen a ghost, or perhaps a vitrified one.
Act 1, Scene 7. The Archaeology of Assassination.
So, Dr. Thorne, you have brought a check for $10,000 to cover our expenses. I trust this means you are not merely a fan of my work, but a man in fear of his life?
Fear is for people who have something to lose, Mr. Wolf. I have lost my funding, my reputation, and my best friend, Klaus. The government hasn't just closed Göbekli Tepe. They've turned it into a military exclusion zone. They claim it's for site preservation, but we know better. They are extracting the heavy stone, the granite that survived the airburst, because it contains stable isotopes that don't exist anywhere else on the periodic table.
Wait a minute. You're saying the Viper isn't just moving drugs? He's moving pieces of a comet that hit the Earth 12,000 years ago?
Exactly. Those isotopes are the key to the next generation of laser guidance systems. The drug trade is just the grease that keeps the gears turning. The real money is in the minerals. And they killed Klaus because he wanted to tell the world that a cosmic disaster is a cycle, not a one-time event.
Indeed. The government suppresses the discovery to prevent a panic, while the Viper and the Moor strip mine history for weaponry. A classic synergy of state-sponsored silence and private sector greed. Archie, we need Saul, Fred, and Ori. If the Andaman Ghost Ledger contains coordinates for the maritime bypasses, it also contains the locations of the other extraction sites. Specifically, the ones in the Grand Canyon that the U.S. government has conveniently sealed for safety.
You want me to go to the Grand Canyon, Nero? I'm still picking Jersey shipyard grit out of my shoes.
Not yet, Archie. First, we must identify the ghost who ordered the digitalis for Mr. Schmidt. Dr. Thorne, who is the man in the Turkish Ministry of Culture who signed the exclusion order?
A man named Ibrahim Bey, but you never get to him. He's guarded by the same sub-commanders you saw in New Jersey. I am going to have to leave. I have another important appointment. I will leave you my cell phone. I will get back with you tomorrow.
I'll see you to the door. Obviously, I want to over details about Utah tomorrow. You mentioned having lost your friend Klaus. Doctor, who was it I met yesterday?
I'll talk with you more about that tomorrow.
Act 1, Scene 8. News from Kramer. Act 2, Scene 1. News from Kramer. Nero Wolf's office. Archie Goodwin speaking.
Get me Wolf, and you stick around and listen.
Great to hear your voice. What brings us your call, Inspector?
Last night, we were able to find someone we've been looking for. Precisely, Dr. Eris Thorne. Let me give you some details before I have you fill in the blanks. His appointment book had Nero Wolf for yesterday morning. Archie, he had your card as well as notes from that meeting.
And you want more details from us because...
Infeed Nero. We located the doctor at Mount Sinai being treated for a bullet that went clean through his right shoulder. Earlier, I had received a call from a Turkish General Lovich warning me about Dr. Thorne. It seems the general captured 5 people breaking into a closed and secure location. All 5 of those gentlemen had checks signed by Dr. Thorne. Okay, fill me in.
Archie?
Why, Archie?
Inspector, Archie keeps copious notes, has a phenomenal feel for conversation, and was the one Dr. Thorne was calling on for some specific follow-through.
Dr. Thorne gave us 2 checks. One check for $25,000 as retainer and a $10,000 check for expenses. While I would be the one who would incur those expenses, I'm not sure what Dr. Thorne wants me to do just yet. Yes, he wants us to find out who killed Klaus Schmidt, but the main goal is to get General Lovich to let us continue to work on Göbekli Tepe. Only about 10% of Göbekli Tepe has been discovered, and the general has it shut off. Those 5 people the general captured are archaeologists trying to do the work they spent their whole lives training for. It would be like your boss telling you to watch people being killed and forced to do nothing about it without being arrested yourself.
Come on, Nero. What's going on here?
Like Archie said, our job is to get the general to open the site for more exploration and to get us a grant, wherein the military will have immediate access to our discoveries.
No way. The general doesn't want to do that. When I spoke with the general, he accused Thorne of everything short of trying to fix the 1919 World Series. So far, you have collected 35 grand to get the general's cooperation and his money. You wouldn't have taken this case if you didn't know something I don't. What is it?
Inspector, I need your help. Big time. The general may well have helped cause an unnatural heart attack that killed Klaus Schmidt, and may also have been involved in last night's escapade that put a bullet hole in Dr. Thorne. This doesn't single out Turkey. Dr. Thorne gave us a list of the top 10 countries, including the United States, that are forbidding entry into archaeological sites that with a little digging could and probably would change history as we know it.
So, what do you want me to do?
Like Archie said, he doesn't know what Thorne wants just yet. But I'm sure he would love to meet with the general and could easily get him a ticket to come here, or pay for you to go with him to Turkey.
I'll talk with the general.
Archie, Theodore wants to go over those germination records you sent him. Inspector, can I get you a beer?
I would love to have a beer. I am parched, and I've been working over 14 hours straight. You know Nero. If he is willing to come, this is the perfect place for him. Are you up for that? I'm sure he'll bring some of his staff.
Let me know how many he'll have and what they like to eat.
As I'm sure you guessed, Theodore didn't have any questions about the germination records. No question in my mind, Nero wanted to work with Kramer to set up a meeting with the general. I appreciate that Nero supported me like he did.
Act 2, Scene 2. The Decoding Team.
By late afternoon, the office looked like a war room. Saul Panzer was leaning over the ledger, his sharp nose inches from the paper. Ella was at the small table by the window, cross-referencing the V4141 codes with a topographical map of the American Southwest.
Archie, look at this. The ledger doesn't just list weights, it lists half-lives. These guys aren't archaeologists. They're nuclear physicists with a side hustle in heroin.
I found it. The V4141 code appears again in a shipping manifest dated 3 weeks ago. Destination: a private airstrip near Kanab, Utah. It's listed as geological survey equipment, but the weight matches the vitrified slabs we found in Jersey.
Kanab? That's right on the edge of the Grand Canyon. If the shadow route is moving Turkish stone to Utah, they're looking for a match. They're looking for the American version of Göbekli Tepe.
Satisfactory. It seems the New World and the Old World were hit by the same fire from the sky, and the same vultures are picking the bones. Archie, contact Inspector Kramer. Tell him I have information regarding a breach of federal airspace and a shipment of ballast that could make his career, or end it. We need a diversion while Saul and Fred move on the Utah coordinates.
And what about Klaus? He's still dead in our guest room.
Tell Mr. Schmidt to stay away from the windows. And Archie, tell Fritz that the trout almondine was acceptable, but the Ceylon cinnamon in the sauce was a fraction too bold. If we are to save human history, we must at least maintain our lunch standards.
I'll tell him, Nero. But if I'm going to Utah, I'm going to need a bigger expense account than 10 grand. The Viper doesn't take traveler's checks.
Act 2, Scene 3. The Smithsonian Consultant.
The next morning, the office was a sea of maps and digital printouts. Wolf was in the plant rooms, which meant the downstairs belonged to the infantry. I was trying to make sense of a shipping manifest from a Smithsonian warehouse in Maryland when the doorbell gave its familiar, polite chime. Ella, you keep an eye on that V4141 sequence. I'll get the door. You know, I have a feeling our visitor is the inside man Dr. Thorne promised us. I opened the door to find a woman in a sharp charcoal blazer carrying a tablet and looking like she could recite the Library of Congress from memory. This was Dr. Eris Thorne's protege, Sarah Vance.
Mr. Goodwin? Dr. Thorne said you were unconventional. I'm from the Smithsonian's Department of Mineral Sciences. I have the internal logs for the Grand Canyon Salvage Project, but I had to bypass 3 firewalls to get them. The Smithsonian isn't just storing these stones, they're hiding them.
Step into the office, Dr. Vance. Meet Ella, our security chief and the best code breaker on 35th Street. Ella, show the doctor what we found in the Andaman Ghost Ledger.
Act 2, Scene 4. The Coordinate Logic.
Welcome, Doctor. I've been cross-referencing the V4141 ballast codes with your department's outgoing shipments. Look at this. 3 tons of vitrified granite were moved from your Maryland facility to a private lab in Utah last Tuesday. The manifest was signed by a General V.
That's impossible. That granite is part of the Powell collection. It's been under federal seal since 1909. They claim it's radioactive, but my test showed it's just highly concentrated with iridium and shocked quartz.
Exactly. It's a direct line from the Grand Canyon exclusion zone to the Marseille shipping docks. Archie, they aren't just hiding history. They're using the Smithsonian's legal seal as a front to move the minerals out of the country.
Nero's going to love this. It's not just a shadow route, it's a government-sanctioned fire sale of prehistoric artifacts. Sarah, does Professor Thorne want to go with me to Utah, or would that not be helpful?
No, I think he wants me to introduce you to them, as I know most of the people there, and he has some classes he is expected to teach.
Act 2, Scene 5.
I hear the elevator. That must be Nero.
The team briefing.
Archie, do not stand there gaping at the doctor. We have a 5-year contract with Thailand that is currently being undermined by a group of vultures in Utah. Ella, I trust you have finalized the pay range for your new role on the detective team.
The DHS mid-range is acceptable, Mr. Wolf. But I'll need a field-grade satellite phone and a direct line to Saul Panzer if I'm going to track these heavy stone shipments in real time.
Satisfactory. Archie, please provide her with the equipment. Dr. Vance, you will remain here as a technical consultant. Fritz has prepared a room in the south wing. Archie, tell Fred and Ori to pack for the Utah desert. We are no longer merely decanting granite in Jersey. We are going to break the seal on the Grand Canyon.
You heard the man. Ella, you handle the digital trail. I'll handle the field exam. And Nero, if I find a pharaoh's tomb in Utah, I'm taking a week off. Sarah will introduce us as she knows almost everyone there.
Phooey. Just ensure the germination records for the dendrobiums are updated before you depart. I will not have the shadow route distract us from the essential order of the conservatory. Sarah can introduce. You from here. Make sure she has the number for your new cell. It is supposed to be here today. We have a major new project she will need to spearhead.
Wow, we have a lot going on at once. I'm sure Nero will fill Dr. Vance in on all the details, but I'm sure it is the meeting with General Lovich. The Utah desert is a beautiful place to die if you have the time for it. We were 3 miles outside of Kanab, tucked into a rimrock overlook that gave us a perfect view of the private airstrip Ella had flagged in the Andaman Ghost Ledger. The heat was a physical weight, and my linen suit, usually my pride and joy, was currently a collection of dust and sweat. Ella, stay low. That's a military-grade transport banking toward the strip. If those crates are marked V4141, we've found the American ballroom for the Viper's dance.
I see them, Archie. 6 guards. They aren't local police. They're moving in standard V formation. Professional security. Probably Valogne's Marseille hitters.
I didn't wait for a formal invitation. I started down the ridge, aiming for the fuel truck. I managed to take out the first 2 guards with a bit of luck and a lot of .38 caliber persuasion, but the third one was a former paratrooper who didn't believe in the peaceful surrender clause of the Nero Wolf Handbook.
Act 2, Scene 7. The Black Belt Protocol.
I was currently pinned against the side of a transport crate, my ribs screaming, and my left eye beginning to swell shut. The paratrooper was winding up for a finishing blow when a shadow fell over us. It wasn't a cloud. It was Ella.
Archie, you really should learn to wait for the signal.
I watched, semi-conscious, as the remaining 3 guards closed in on her. It wasn't a fight, it was a choreographed disposal. Ella moved with a Tai Chi fluidity that made the desert heat look like slow motion. She used their own momentum against the wrist lock here, a palm strike there, until the airstrip was silent, except for the ticking of the cooling plane engines.
Perimeter secure. Archie, sit down before you fall down. You're bleeding on your favorite tie.
It's a sacrifice for science, Ella. Did you get the manifest off the lead crate?
Act 2, Scene 8. Tending the Wounds.
We sat in the shade of the V4141 crate. Ella was surprisingly gentle with the antiseptic, though she didn't stop smirking at my bruised ego. Behind us, the crate sat open, revealing a slab of vitrified granite from the Grand Canyon that looked exactly like the ancient sea salt stones from Turkey.
Hold still. This is going to sting. You've got a nasty cut over your eyebrow. You're lucky I decided to join the detective team, or you'd be a permanent part of the Utah scenery by now.
I'm beginning to see the benefits of the DHS pay range. You're definitely cooler than I am in a crisis, Ella. But look, the stone. It's got the same chemical residue. This isn't just ballast, it's a prehistoric battery. They're shipping American history to Marseille to fund the next World War.
And the Smithsonian seal is what let it bypass the scanners. We have the proof, Archie. Now we just have to get you back to 35th Street so Nero can deliver the final economics lesson to the people who think they can hide a comet under a government stamp.
Can we skip the 45-minute hug and just go with a 20-minute nap first? My ribs are voting for the nap.
Authorization granted, Archie, but only after we call Saul to secure the site. Welcome to the new world.
Act 2, Scene 9. The Utah Cleanup.
While Ella was busy turning villains' hitters into human pretzels, I was on the satellite phone. I didn't call the local sheriff. In Utah, you never know whose brother-in-law is on the payroll. I called the one man who could move a federal mountain with a single growl. Nero, The field exam is a success. We have 3 slabs of vitrified 1909 Powell Collection granite sitting on a private tarmac. The sub-commander is currently rethinking his life choices, and Ella is keeping the perimeter secure.
Satisfactory. Archie, do not touch the stone. I have Inspector Kramer in the office. He is currently coordinating with federal marshals to declare that airstrip a crime scene under the Antiquities Act. If the Smithsonian hides more than they store, we shall see how they feel about a public audit.
Make it fast, Nero. I've got a rib that's out of alignment and a suit that's seen better decades. We're coming home.
Act 3, Scene 1. The General's Welcome.
3 days later, the brownstone didn't just feel like a war room, it felt like a summit. Nero had used his connection with Minister Somchai and a bit of official pressure from Kramer to bring General Lovich into the office. The general sat in the red leather chair, looking like he'd rather be charging a hill than drinking Fritz's coffee.
General Lovich, I understand your hesitation. You are a man of order, and you view archaeologists as predatory rapscallions who disturb the soil of your national security.
They are worse than rapscallions, Mr. Wolf. They find things that make the people ask questions the military cannot answer. In Turkey, we protect the history that belongs to us.
You know, General, you and I have something in common. I heard you almost signed with the Yankees before your dad talked you into the service. I spent some time in the minors myself.
A long time ago, Mr. Goodwin. What does baseball have to do with Göbekli Tepe?
Everything. See, there was this kid brought up to the big leagues to close a game in the 9th. He starts off throwing a curveball, fancy, deceptive, tricky. The batter laces it for a double. The manager comes out and asks the kid what got him to the bigs. The kid says, "My fastball." The manager tells him, "What got you here is what will keep you here." The kid starts throwing nothing but smoke, pure speed, and strikes out the side. General, your fastball is Turkey's history. It's the most renowned discovery in the world. The military curveball of shutting down sites might work for a minute, but it's the smoke, the actual digging and discovery that's going to keep Turkey in the big leagues. 90% of Tepe is still under the dirt. You're sitting on a gold mine and you're treating it like a minefield.
Act 3, Scene 2. The Recruitment Pitch.
Archie's athletics aside, he makes a point. You are looking for soldiers who are young, athletic, and skilled. Why not train them to be your eyes in the soil? If you allow archaeologists to work under your command, any discovery of military importance, like the weapons Klaus mentioned, goes straight to your department. But the prestige and the billions in tourism stays with Turkey.
You suggest I turn my sergeants into students of the spade?
I suggest you take advantage of an opportunity. Taiwan has a $60 billion tourism industry. Turkey could exceed that if you stop treating your heritage as a secret and start treating it as your greatest asset. I have a contact in Marseille, a shipping magnate who has seen the error of his ways, who is prepared to provide a ledger of every shadow route artifacts dealer in the Mediterranean. It would be a most impressive gift for you to bring back to your Prime Minister.
And what do you want in return, Mr. Wolf?
The reopening of Göbekli Tepe, and a grant that ensures Klaus Schmidt, who is currently restored to life in my dining room, can finish the work he started without fear of digitalis in his tea.
Act 3, Scene 3. The Secret of Section 4.
While the general was busy digesting Wolf's fastball analogy, Dr. Sarah Vance was at the safe, pulling out a set of blueprints that hadn't seen the light of day since the Taft administration. These weren't just maps of the Grand Canyon, they were the inventory logs for Section 4, the Smithsonian's black hole for things that shouldn't exist.
Mr. Wolf, you asked what they were hiding. Look at these photos from the 1909 Powell expedition. They didn't just find vitrified stone. In Section 4, we have 3 crates labeled Organic Remains, Non-Human. They were found in a cave sealed by the same cosmic airburst that melted the granite.
Indeed, it is the ultimate strategic antidote. If the world knew that a prehistoric civilization was wiped out by a recurring cosmic cycle, the order the government craves would vanish in a heartbeat. General Lovitch, this is what the shadow route was actually moving. Not just minerals for lasers, but the physical proof that we are not the first masters of this planet.
This is why the Viper wanted the exclusion zone. He wasn't just a soldier. He was a grave robber for the elite.
Act 3, Scene 4. The Final Handshake.
The office went silent. It was that heavy, satisfying silence you get when the pieces of a 10,000-piece puzzle finally click into place. Wolf leaned back in his chair, his fingers forming the familiar apex under his chin.
General, you have a choice. You can return to Turkey and remain the warden of a silent tomb. Or you can announce the International Tepe Restoration Project. Klaus Schmidt will miraculously reappear as your chief consultant. The Smithsonian, represented by Dr. Vance, will provide the forensic evidence to show that these sites are a warning, not just a relic. And in return, the Andaman Ghost ledger will be burned, and your reputation will be that of the man who saved the history of the world.
Nero outdid himself. Instead of General Lovitch standing firm as a staunch adversary, he is becoming an ally of the First Order. Just listen to the general.
I have always preferred the good fastball, Mr. Goodwin. Tell your chef I would like the recipe for that trout. It seems I will be hosting many archaeologists in the northern provinces soon.
I'll get Fritz on it, General. And Ella, make sure you record the DHS reward payment from Gus Freeman. I think we're going to need a bigger plant room for all those dendrobium Samchai is sending over.
Act 3, Scene 5. The Final Reveal. Section 4 and the Grand Canyon.
It is more the rule than the exception to hide archaeological discoveries. The top 10 countries who are hiding their history already discovered by archaeologists includes the United States, front and center. They tell us that the cave that Powell discovered is devoid of any artifacts, but try to go see for yourself. You can't get anywhere near it. You can't even fly a drone in the area. The camera will be shut off by government technology. They have the entire area around Powell's Cave watched by planes and helicopters. But by making Tepe open for archaeological research, Turkey will become the leader throughout the world, not just because they are setting the pace for archaeological discoveries, but because they have the most dynamic history you could ever imagine. The air in the Smithsonian Section 4 didn't smell like dust. It smelled like the back alley pharmacy of the gods. Dr. Vance let us pass crates of unidentified bone fragments to a vault that looked like it belonged in Fort Knox.
Mr. Wolf, this is what the Antiquities Act was really designed to protect. Look at these jars. They were found alongside the vitrified stones in the 1909 Powell Cave. They contain a preserved resin, a prehistoric version of wild lettuce, but far more potent.
Indeed, a botanical heavy stone. The ancients didn't just understand the stars, they understood the chemistry of survival. This resin was used to treat the survivors of the cosmic airburst. It is a non-toxic antidote to the pain of a world ending. And the Viper was shipping it to Marseille to be synthesized into a weaponized sedative.
So the government sealed the site not just to hide the comet, but to keep the pharmacy for themselves. General Lovich, I think it's time to throw that fastball. We're taking this medicine back to the people it belongs to. I watched the general board his plane, clutching a jar of Fritz's trout recipe and a new respect for the fastball. Klaus was back in the conservatory arguing with Theodore about the soil pH for the new Thai orchids. We had reopened Gobekli Tepe and found the Smithsonian's hidden medicine, but as I looked at Ella decoding the last of the Andaman ghost ledger, I knew one thing for sure. History isn't just what we find in the dirt. It's what we have the courage to remember.